This patented Echo of Medivh Mage.
Oh, baby.
We know there's a mech mage on the other side, as you can see.
Yep.
Is this Echo Mage or is this Fatigue Mage?
This looks like Fatigue.
Yeah, there's a polymorph in the Flame Strike. So
also, it's not the Echo of Medivh Mage that Savjz used to play a lot. But he also used to play a lot of Fatigue Mage, I guess.
Yeah, he's been experimenting with like tons of different mage decks on stream.
Yeah.
Full mulligan from him.
And Gaara just going ham with that mech mage.
So Fatigue is like extremely favored in this matchup.
Hello.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah,
why
especially with this draw, like Doomsayer and Explosive Sheep are really powerful. They're hard for mages to get through. I mean, Doomsayer only really dies like Fireball, and then you're wasting a Fireball. And Explosive Sheep is just really solid. The Mech Mage is probably going to need to like draw Archmage Antonitis late game to have enough power to kind of take it all the way.
do you think Doomsayer's yeah, he's dropping it right now.
Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, me too.
It just
Refrains him
denies
from
everything.
benefiting, yeah.
Yep. There's literally no way he can bust the Doomsayer right now. So now he gets like a free turn to develop Duplicate, and duplicating an Explosive Sheep is just insane.
So you see Gaara thinking about his options, but I guess he's pondering to maybe drop the Scientist. He's considering just getting the secret
I didn't
right
actually notice the Mad Scientist. So another interesting thing is Gaara's probably only playing Mirror Entity, and Mirror Entity on an Explosive Sheep is
so bad.
not very good.
He's going to go ahead and pink phase.
Everything just kind of looking in Savjz's favor here. Honestly, I'd say it's probably a win for him already.
Well, it's not over yet.
Yeah. Gaara's best chance is actually just to like try and do a lot of damage and then finish the game with like 2 fireballs.
But even so, there's the 1 ice block and
yeah, the thing about Mill Mage is that even though you play 2 heal bots in an ice block, you don't really draw into them that fast compared to like Freeze Mage. So he's playing a really slow deck, and sometimes you just don't draw your healing by the time they kill you. But duplicating a Sludge Belcher is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, Sludge Belcher is already annoying enough to deal with for the Mech Mage. Like 1 Sludge Belcher is annoying enough to deal with. How is he ever going to deal with 3 Sludge Belchers?
4 even.
Yeah, he's most likely going to get the Mirror Entity here and try and copy a Sludge Belcher, but Explosive Sheep going to kind of screw that up.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, Savjz is not stupid enough to run a Sludge Belcher into Mirror Entity. He knows that Mech Mage probably only does run that 1 secret, and that's Mirror Entity.
This is actually a really interesting play, though. Like, I think the obvious play would have been Frostbolted, kill it with the Scientist, and like develop a 3-drop. But instead, Gaara's playing it really slowly, not playing into Duplicate, taking all the time in the world, which turned out to be really nice, actually.
So we see Savjz has 5 mana here. He opts to get the Mirror Entity out.
Now the Entity's down, and
he's gonna sheep, I suppose not.
Because also imagine he popped the Duplicate right there. He could have already played a turn 5 Belcher.
Yep.
This way it makes a turn 6 Belcher, for example, more awkward, I guess. Or he just waits more. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Gaara has pretty good plays right now, but every single one of them is answered by Explosive Sheep. Just clears any board he wants to develop.
Yeah. So he's pretty much has solutions against anything that Gaara can put against him. Against small stuff, he has the Sheeps and the Blizzard. Against big stuff, he has the Polymorph. And just in case he needs even more solutions, he still has another Cold Light Oracle to draw more cards.
Yeah, Cold Light Oracle is probably not going to come out for a really long time this game. You never want to give the aggressive deck more cards until like the very end.
How can the Mech Mage actually swing the game back in his favor? I guess the only way to do it really is Antonitis and stealth it up, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
much,
definitely like your best out. The thing about Mech Mage is it's not a deck with a lot of swing potential. It's mostly just like, this is what I do, and I do it pretty well. And Freeze Mage generally responds to it pretty well.
Look at Gaara fighting off the duplicate as much as possible. Like,
Yeah, he's definitely playing on the duplicate and dragging the game out. But the thing is, like,
it's not gonna work out for him.
oh, whoa, this is actually really strange from Savjz.
Yeah, this is weird. I was
I'm very surprised.
He actually snap dropped the Death Lord without probably remembering the mirror entity. So it's kind of
this is actually not that great for Savjz.
Yeah.
not sure if that was intentional.
Maybe he just forgot about the
with
secret.
double sheep follow up if he.
Yeah, he definitely still has like a big safety net with the Blizzard and double sheep, but he basically turned what was a liability for Gaara into an asset by giving him a 2/8.
Is the Death Lord actually able to hurt the Death Lord that Gaara has? Is it able to hurt Savjz in some way?
If it pulls out the second Oracle, for example, that's going to be very bad.
I don't think it'll hurt him that much. I think Savjz would be happy to pull like any minion from his deck, but I think you just definitely want a mirror entity on the explosive sheep in this matchup. So he's going to duplicate the Death Lord over the Sludge Belcher, which I like because it lets him pull out stuff. And right now he's really looking to just pull Archmage Antonidas. He even has the Stealth spare part in hand.
This allows him to Spider Tank and Technician at the same time. But then again, it's going to be turn 7 for the Fatigue Mage. You don't really want to.
Yeah,
give
you
him
definitely
that much
don't want to
Flame
overextend into Flame Strike.
That's also
or
a thing.
sheep.
That's also a thing to note. He's really looking for the Archmage Antonidas, and if he doesn't get it with Death Lord, he gets another minion, and this also gets closer to drawing the Antonidas.
Yep.
So the more Death Lords are going to be triggered, the closer he gets to Antonidas.
Yeah, so he gets 8 damage in. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's also pushing through some damage here, which for the past few turns he hasn't been able
So
to.
he's going to refrain from using any minion.
And without any healing in Savjz's hand, like every point of damage he takes matters.
Yeah, it just goes for Blizzard here.
Yeah, plenty of board clear in hand for Savjz. He can extend it over a couple of turns thanks to Blizzard.
Gaara last turn actually did nothing except for ping. So definitely respecting the AoE from Savjz's deck.
Yeah, there's obviously because there's 2 flame strikes, and this was the flame strike turn.
Yep.
He didn't want to put any more minions on the board, especially since they all died to flame strike.
Something needs tinkering?
So let's see how much he extends this turn. The thing about this board is it's threatening enough that it probably pulls an AoE out of the Fatigue Mage, so you don't really need to extend much more than this.
Do you agree with that +1 HP on Azure Drake?
Yeah, it just makes it so he can't ping it off. Which
but is he really going to ping
annoying.
it? Think about it. There's so much AoE in the Fatigue Mage. There's going to be Flame Strike. There's going to be another Blizzard. There's going to be a Cone of Cold, which would be also good in that spot.
Yeah, especially because that spare part signifies that, using a spare part means that he's going to have 1 less activation for the Antonidas.
Yep. This is kind of a tricky turn for Savjz. I mean, if you go completely safe with double sheep ping, you don't really get anything done, and your opponent can then just extend their full hand. So he's going with kind of more safe play, but then again, this gives Gaara more chances to pull Archmage out of his deck, which would almost end the game on the spot.
Yeah, if he does get that, it's going to be insane.
I think if the first Death Lord gives him Archmage, I would put it back into Gaara's favor.
Can you allow yourself to play the Blast Mage here? Is it good? No, actually, there's no mech. What am I talking about?
Yeah, you could play a mech and then play the Blast Mage. I think what you do first is you proc one of the Death Lords to see if you can pull the Archmage. Because in that case, you definitely want to cast a Fireball. All right. Above average, but I mean, anything with 4 health is still dying to AoE. And he doesn't really have a way to proc this next one unless he Blast Mage AoE. Okay, so he got it.
Does not get Antonidas.
Hello.
All right, well, Savjz definitely dodging some low percentage bullets there, but...
And there goes the double sheep combo.
Yep.
Even clears the Annoytrons, which a Flame Strike wouldn't.
Unfortunate he can't echo these though. Not sure that you would want to, but
Yeah. We'll see what he gets from Death Lord. He actually gets a minion from his deck. Ooh. That's pretty strong. It actually
wait, he
took
got his
2
own
damage.
and took 2 damage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it took 2 damage from the sheep.
that's an interesting resolution actually.
Yeah. It's really weird. Oh, right, because it died, and then
The first one
Death
died,
Lord,
which
and
was
then
2
the
damage,
second
which
one,
is
yeah.
enough. Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense.
So,
I do like Mirror Entity here. It feels like the best you're going to get with that card from this point on.
yeah, because both sheeps are
Both
gone
sheeps
now.
are gone, yep.
Yes.
One Doomsayer's out. Not extending at all past that, though.
But the Mirror Entity doesn't really do much in the first place.
Ooh.
Even if you give him a Sludge Belcher, it doesn't really matter that much.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, that looks really sketchy.
I
perhaps,
guess
but
now he's like really playing around Mirror Entity, but he's also giving his opponent 2 cards, which could end up being very
he's
relevant.
belching, so he's not going to echo this board.
And now we get to see a 4th Death Lord resolve for Gaara.
What is it going to be this time?
He's just immediately going for it.
Uh,
Ooh. Worst card in the deck.
Okay, so you got up to 6 Death Lords this game.
Yeah. Maybe even more with Echo.
Yeah, and that's 2 more chances of grabbing Intonitis right on the board. And there's 8 cards left for the Mech Mage.
Dr. Boom's pretty strong here, but Savjz actually finally drew into a Flame Strike off the Cold
Or
Light.
Frost Nova. There you go.
Also Frost Nova.
So do you just go for... What do you prefer here?
This is definitely one of the interesting turns
Yeah.
where there's like so many options. He might just go for an Echo here. That would
Ooh.
actually make him overdraw, so yeah.
He's
not
going to go
do
for
that.
even greedier. I mean,
He's going for a pretty greedy Flame Strike here.
and Echo as well,
But-
because he's building up the board.
Yeah,
Like, he's
you
going to fill up
can,
his
you can
hand so
Echo
hard.
this as well, but at this point, like, I think, what's he got, like 19 points of taunt now?
Wow.
It's almost like too
Did
much.
you notice that? Gaara literally just pinged and passed.
Yep.
Just really afraid of that overextension. Not even
Gaara's
Shredder, though.
probably really sad about not getting
Yeah, but
Archmage.
I think Shredder might have been justified though.
He's probably around like 80% to have gotten Archmage by now, maybe even higher with
That
4
might have
Death
been, yeah.
Lords plus all these draws. Like,
I still think though that Gaara kind of wasted his Archmage potential by first using the second spare part and then also using the Frostbolt.
yeah,
Because just getting 2 firebolts in one turn is just so much better.
the second spare part is more relevant than the Frostbolt, I think, because if you pull it from a Death Lord, you can go spare part, fireball, fireball, and then you get 6 fireballs, which is just insane. Like the 36 damage, Savjz, as we know, he doesn't have any heals, so there's just no way he could heal through that.
You're gonna see an Echo and a ping. Okay.
And Echo of Medivh, I just love that card. Can be played well in aggro decks, can be played well in control decks.
I think it's really kind of interesting that Savjz plays Golden Echoes and all other non-golden cards, just so that like in these high
Yeah, it's
pressure
Golden
tournament
Belchers,
situations,
Golden Oracles, Golden
you
Death Lords.
can tell which cards you echoed. That way you know if you still have them in your deck or
Yeah,
not.
that's really smart.
Yeah, I noticed he did that in an online tournament. I
Can
was
take
like, huh.
votes though. Right?
Another small thing that just separates Savjz from the rest of us
Yeah.
peasants.
Thing is though, if you take notes, you're not really giving a tell, but if you're actually using the Golden Echoes, you're giving a tell to your opponent whenever you
Yeah,
draw the
you
golden
definitely
card.
give intel to your opponent as well. I thought about running like golden web spinners, but that definitely just gives information to your opponent, especially when you get something like a Haunted Creeper. They're like, oh, that didn't come from his deck, that came from his web spinner.
Yeah, do you agree Web
But-
Spinner should announce whenever you drop the beast?
I think
Just
it'd be
like
nice
Portal?
for tournaments.
Yeah.
I know online, like there are programs that people can use to see where it came from. So I think it'd be nice, you know, if
Is there a program
just
for that?
for clarity. Yeah, like the Hearthstone deck tracker.
Oh, which marks the cards in
Yeah.
hand, yeah.
And
That's
I
the only thing.
I know quite a few people use that. So just to kind of like level the playing field, it'd be nice if Blizzard just implemented it like they did with Unstable
Oh, there's
Portal.
the Antonitis.
Yeah, it's almost
Too
like
little too late.
yeah, geez, that's so sad.
He's not even winning by fatigue. Look at this.
Yeah. I playtested the Fatigue Mage deck a
Fatigue
bit.
Mage is beating
And against
Mech
aggressive
Mage down.
decks, you very rarely actually go to 30 cards.
Yeah.
You just eventually choke them out so much, like so much hit
Yeah.
points of taunt right now.
Ooh, it taunts.
28 taunt to get through. It's not gonna happen.
You can taunt Antonitis. You can stealth the Dr. Boom. I don't know. I guess he gets 2
Yeah.
fireballs.
It's still over.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have fireballs left?
With the polymorph, it's game no matter what. So
Quick question. We haven't seen a single fireball, correct?
we did not see a fireball this game from
Does he have
Gaara.
2 left, or does he not run them?
He runs them for sure.
Yeah, I think you definitely run it in Mech Mage. It's so often, it's like running combo in Druid. So often you just can cheese out games with it.
Time runs out on me.
Really thinking it through, seeing what he thinks the best possibility of winning is, and I think he's actually going to taunt up. Yeah, he already did taunt up the Archmage. Stealthing the 7-3, not too relevant, but
Yeah, it's just getting the fireball in.
yep. And the polymorph is going to end it.
Yep. And that's lethal by beatdown.
The Fatigue Mage actually
Death by
winning by
Death
Death
Lord.
Lords. Yeah.
Did 4 death also on board. What the
So pretty expected result in this game. I think it would have been really interesting if a Death Lord pulled Archmage Antonitis. I'm not sure Gaara would win on the spot, but it would have been a lot closer of a game.
So yeah, as our cameraman is doing stuff to Gaara's camp,
Yeah.
we are going into game 2, or we're gonna be going into game 2 fairly.
And I'm interested to see how it'll do.
But it's very curious that imagine people that actually practice a lot.
Right.
They probably don't practice at all with a Fatigue Mage matchup.
Yeah, it's
Unless they want to take it.
yeah.
They don't practice against it ever.
Yep.
Because it's boring as hell, I suppose. So.
Very little people play it on ladder.
Yeah.
Teammates won't be like,
And
hey, we should practice
It's
some
so
Fatigue
unappealing
Mage.
to play this deck. It's
Yeah.
so like,
It's
it's not that it's boring, but it's so hard. Like the first time I played it, I brought it out in a best of 3 tournament where you can bring whatever
Wait.
you have left, okay?
yeah.
So I lost the game 2 versus Priest, so I could counter game 3. And I went Fatigue Mage for the first time ever. Because I thought, how can Priest beat this ever?
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah, I made so many misplays and I still won the game. But I felt so uncomfortable playing it.
Yeah.
Then the Priest probably messed up because usually you just win as Priest against Fatigue Mage.
Why would you? You have
You-
30
you
HP life
steal-
total. You don't
you
have armor, which
steal
are
the
you?
Death Lords, and then you you just fatigue the Fatigue Mage.
See, this is the thing. Like, nobody's tested this enough. We have an argument about this matchup. We have an argument about the Rogue matchup. Like,
Yeah.
nobody knows what they're doing.
Okay, Gaara's
Savjz
black
is
now.
the most experienced player with this deck, I would say. And so that's an advantage of bringing it for him, is that other people can't afford to bring this deck because they didn't put in the hours,
Yeah.
and playing against it can be very difficult
The same
sometimes.
applies to Rogue, though. Not to that big of an extent, but
Yeah.
I'm just happy if we don't see too many Fatigue Mages in tournaments. It always puts me to sleep.
It's
Yeah.
definitely a really interesting deck, and I don't think anybody like truly knows its power level, because it is definitely hard to play and it's hard to figure out like all the different matchups and know what you're doing. So it'll be a while. Like maybe it's just like really overpowered. Who knows? I do know from playing it a bit on ladder, when you lose as Fatigue Mage, you feel like there's literally nothing you could have done. You're just like, damn. Deathlord gave him Savannah High Main.
Yeah.
I didn't draw correctly because the deck plays no draw cards besides Cold Lights. So the hands you get, you're usually stuck with. And if you want to draw cards, your opponent draws cards too.
yeah.
There's like virtual card draw with duplicates, but that's about it.
Yeah, and like we saw last game, there are definitely some ways to play around duplicate and just kind of delay it so that it doesn't give your opponent immediate advantage. So an early Doomsayer again from Savjz, pretty good here. I doubt Gaara wants to expend any resources to get rid of it.
Yeah. How much the Rogue can do here, so. Just get
He's
4
got
damage
prep
in.
sprint, and that would take him to 9 cards, which would then put him at risk of overdrawing to a Cold Light.
Yeah, that's true.
He could just play Blood Mage to cycle it, and then redagger. That seems pretty fair.
Often enough, it just seems like not really the optimal thing to do to just play Doomsayer on the board with 1 minion. But what that does is not only does it trade 1 for 1 basically, it also prevents 1 turn from your opponent dropping any minions on the board.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of it gives you an extra turn basically.
I'm
as
not
well.
sure like how intentional, like if Savjz knows all of these positions, but this was pretty much the perfect time to play it because, oh wow,
He
what
prepped
is he?
again. Tinkers. Is it?
Oh.
Wow.
So he's gonna kill it.
He's going all in.
This
No, he's not killing it. Is he?
There's not a duplicate on the
this
board.
uses
Okay, he
10
does.
damage into a Doomsayer. That Doomsayer healed him for 10 and denied development. Both preps gone now.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually.
Was it? The question is, was that really worth it?
Yeah, it was definitely a rope influence play.
But at the
You
same
could
time,
tell he was running out of time. He drew cards and he thought he just had to kind of like instinct fight or flight, and he's like, all right,
Wait.
I'm going for
But
it.
don't you think he did this so he could shorten his ends and not fall prey to Oracle as well?
I think when you sprint there, a lot of times you won't
Okay,
draw
you're
into the
not
second
expecting
prep. So when you sprint, you kind of admit like, okay, if he wants the Cold Light, he gets the Cold Light. But this
I
does
suppose
actually
so.
play around Cold Light as well. And Savjz going to answer it pretty easily just with 1 card.
Yeah.
Gaara didn't lose much card advantage here because he played the sprint beforehand, so really it ends up being like a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. But when you use both preps, you use your Tinker's Oil, and you waste 10 damage into a Doomsayer, like how
Ooh.
happy can you really be?
Double Oracle.
Oh, lots of overdrawing gonna happen.
1 Violet, 1 Sap, and whatever
Sap,
he draws next.
kind of important. Savjz just popping the coin
Yeah.
to
So backstab
keep his hand
down.
at 9.
Thing is, it's not a duplicate down there. It's an ice block. So
Yeah. I actually like Gaara's position here isn't too bad. I mean, he's gonna clear these
Yeah, but Gaara must
somehow,
think that's
however
a-
he likes.
Gaara must think it's a duplicate and is really scared of letting me have it. So
This right here is an interesting
Did he kill a
choice.
minion though? He killed the
Um,
Doomsayer, so he knows it's not duplicate.
was the secret there before?
Yeah,
it was. Okay.
there.
What do you think about Harrison in Rogue? Is it really necessary?
Harrison is
Some medical,
usually
I
a
guess.
very meta choice. I know that me and my teammates, we brought some Doomhammers to this tournament, so I mean it's definitely good in that case. But sometimes it's definitely just a vanilla 5/4, and you're like, why is this card in my deck? So it's got its ups and its downs. When it's good, it's usually really good, and I think Gaara expected some Paladin. I'm not sure about Warrior. Savjz has Warrior, but I didn't expect much Warrior in this tournament. I don't think there is much, but the Warriors that are here, they actually did pretty well.
This is also this is kind of a funny thing in this matchup because Rogue draws a lot of cards, which usually plays into the Fatigue Mage's hand, but the problem still is that just Rogue, by drawing so many cards, will eventually get all his combo pieces and then can just burst down the mage pretty easily. So that's
If Gaara's running something like Assassin's Blade, I mean, he could just make something like an 8/4 dagger and just do 32 points of damage, which would be pretty insane. I'm not sure if he's running that card, but that's definitely one of your kind of win conditions.
You can
So
see
he's
though
just
that
burning through Flame Strikes. to
Gaara
keep the
has
board
half
clear.
the cards in deck than Savjz, and he's burning them through so fast.
How many cards does Gaara have left?
6.
6.
Savjz is 14.
Okay, so he's on quite a clock, and Savjz definitely has, like, with all this freeze, he has a heal in his hand, he has taunts.
Yeah.
Taunts aren't too relevant because Gaara will
He
probably
has
draw into
4
Sap.
freezes. He has a Doomsayer to go along with one of those
Yeah,
freezes. He has a Heal Bot. He has a Frostbolt. He has a Deathbolt. He has a Belcher.
I definitely favor Savjz's position here. This is kind of like what I was thinking the matchup would go. It's just really, he's running out of steam pretty quick, and he just might not have enough damage in 30 cards to kill Savjz.
Yeah, with all the heal, the potential heal coming in and the taunts that also represent heal. It's all about just total damage that Rogue can put out versus the total damage that Mage can heal.
So Savjz is debating here. He's like, do I freeze? Do I freeze in Doomsayer, or do I just put up taunts?
There might be a big play eventually though, like with Lotham and Tinker Sword
The
Oil.
longer you wait, the weaker taunts get, is what he's thinking. But the other thought is like, maybe I can just play super safe and that'll carry me, because he only has, you know, 5 cards left next turn. And so the Rogue's really on a huge clock here. And it kind of makes a compromise between the options, which I like. Second Blade Flurry, not very good for Gaara. Card definitely not that great in this matchup. And I mean, at this point, Blood Mage Thalnos is probably more of a liability than an asset.
Yeah, because it gets him even closer to fatigue.
Yep. He'll just have to kind of save it for when it pulls some extra damage. He might use it this turn with Blade Flurry to break through the Belcher.
Yeah, after all, there's still no duplicate. The secret from the start has been Ice Block.
Yeah. I still think, like, sure, it's looking heavily skewed in favor of Savjz, but there might be a Lothab and Sharp Sword Oil Poison play into Flurry the turn after or something.
Yeah, he's going to go for the Lothab right now, and I really like this. He's going to develop while he plays the Lothab, which means Savjz just can't AoE. Savjz has the Frost Nova, though.
Frost Nova and the Doomsayer to boot.
Frost Nova usually the best counter to Lothab with this type of deck. Doomsayer is probably just going to die to a Flurry, but I mean, the double Blizzard is really going to do a lot of work on this board. And Fan of Knives, again, another card that not great to see if you're Gaara.
Do we
double
see
Fan,
Thaumals
double
come
Flurry.
Down? Thaumals with Flurry, or?
Very anti-aggro rogue list here, which is not a good thing in this matchup. You want to be as greedy as possible to beat Fatigue Mage.
So what options does he have here? I can think Thaumals backstab the Doomsayer into Blade Flurry. Allows them to clear the board, but then the Ooze survives.
You could also Thalnos Fan Flurry, or you'd want to Flurry then Fan.
He's trying to make the play where he doesn't play either Fan or Thalmos, I believe.
Yeah, he could do that. The thing is, I just think, like, no matter how much you, at least, like, I know the cards in Savjz's hand, so I know he's got double Blizzard. I think Gaara is actually operating under the thought that maybe he doesn't have AoE, but we know he does, and so he's probably not doing too well on that front. I just think, like, if you try to never draw cards again in this matchup, you probably won't be able to push out enough damage. You'll slowly. It doesn't really matter how fast you die, just the fact that you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. That's right.
Blizzard here, and a Death Lord.
Because if you just choose to not draw cards as Rogue, then you eventually just have a handful of dead cards.
I heard Kalenta, when he was playing Fatigue Mage, basically saying a lot of Druids were misplaying by using Ancient Lore to heal themselves, thinking like, oh, it's Fatigue Mage, I don't want to draw, but you have to draw. You have to outpace them.
Yeah.
The weakness of the Fatigue Mage deck is that it doesn't play a lot of draw, and it only has 10 mana to work with every turn.
Yeah.
You have to tempo them out somehow where they can't clear your board, heal, taunt, and all that at the same time.
That's asking for a lot, though, when you have 10
You
mana
just have to
available.
keep a steady flow of threats, so Mage eventually just runs out of the answers.
Or force them to use their answers in suboptimal
positions.
You
just have to remember about the Fatigue Mage deck is, even like in this game where it seems like Savjz has all the answers, since the deck plays almost no draw, it's pretty inconsistent in getting those answers. Almost kind of like drawing Wild Growth and Druid.
Savjz still has more than 1/3 of his deck in remaining, and he already drew both his Flame Strikes and both his Blizzards.
Yep.
And both Doomsayers. So all of his board clear.
This is so sketchy.
Yeah, and board clear is really what you're looking for against a deck like Rogue.
Rope is gonna burn, guys. He's gonna heal up to Lothab out of Blizzard range.
Yeah. Gaara is really thinking now. He's like, okay, he's played 2 Flame Strikes, he's played a Blizzard. He has 10 cards left. Hopefully he just doesn't have that second Blizzard.
Yeah.
And he does. It's pretty unfortunate. We might see Savjz like polymorph here, or Frostbolt Ping.
Blizzard. Polymorphing the Blizzard, I guess. Nah, Frostbolt there.
Gun for the Frostbolt Ping.
Into Blizzard.
Be really interesting if he didn't Blizzard this turn. I think that'd be too greedy, but Savjz is very experienced with this deck, so he generally knows moments in which he can be really greedy. And this is his last AoE available in his hand anyway.
I mean,
But
the rogue has the Thalmos and
the
5
bad
spells.
thing for Gaara is even if Savjz runs out of AoEs, Gaara doesn't really have any more threats to get AoE'd. So this is pretty much the last stand for Gaara's deck.
Yeah, that's kind of the weakness of the rogue deck. Most of the damage is getting put down by spells and weapons.
If there was an Assassin's Blade in Gaara's deck and he draws it right as he's about to lose, it'd be really unfortunate. Just like last game with the Archmage.
Yeah, so Blizzard coming off and he pings the ball.
Especially considering the amount of cards that he drew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he trading or is he face? Okay, face.
Almost out of cards.
Oh, that's
and
the
it's
card you
a
want to see.
sprint. Oh no.
Come on, just play the sprints. You want to see it.
Give us the sprint Sudoku. Jeez. So Gaara's list, like I thought, I mean, after seeing this list, I really don't like it against Freeze or against Fatigue Mage. Double sprint, double fan, double flurry, like all really weak cards.
Harrison Jones.
Maybe there was a bit of like draw luck here for Savjz drawing all 4 of his AoEs relatively quickly. And Savjz actually, earlier, he had a rare moment where he could play 2 Cold Light Oracles and actually overdraw his opponent and not get punished. So he got to draw 4 extra cards basically for free, which normally you can't do because you can't afford to give your opponent cards.
By the way, concerning the fact that we can't see Gaara's face, apparently the camera's really sensitive and they're only going to be able to fix it by the next match, so.
Aww. Gaara is definitely really focused during his matches. He almost always keeps like the same pose. At least he seems very unaffected by stuff that happens. But definitely not having the best of it in these matches.
There's 1 card left for the rogue.
Sapping, not really doing much here.
Yeah.
We're probably just going to see Frostbolt come out and that should wrap things up.
Yeah, heal bot Frostbolt and trade. Pretty simple. And rogue has no minions left. Even if this is a minion.
Be really interested to see
Okay, there you go.
what can beat Fatigue Mage, because when Fatigue Mage finally loses, it's probably going to be really anticlimactic, and it's just going to be like, oh damn, he got a bad draw.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll find out next game because
yep, this
Gaara.
is Gaara's last
Hunters
chance.
should still beat Fatigue Mage.
Gaara with Warrior, right?
Gaara with Warrior, so looking at his potential to sweep, I mean, potential to 3-0 is always low percentage, but he's got Warrior versus Fatigue Mage. I'd say, you know, at worst, he's okay in that matchup. Warrior Mirror, you know, 50-50. Warrior versus Paladin is probably where he's really going to struggle. Not a great matchup. Just going to concede this game knowing he doesn't even have close to enough damage to finish.
Another victory for Savjz, man. I mean, he's just tearing through this tournament so far.
Gaara's on to Warrior only.
Yeah, he lost to Faramir has been his only loss so far. I caught the tail end of the 5th game, and it was actually, he drew his Harrison Jones against Jiraxis 1 card late, and basically Faramir was able to win from
Struggle against Fatigue Mage.
Ysera in the opener for Gaara. That's actually pretty good against Fatigue Mage. Hopefully they don't have. You can try to bait out a polymorph and then play it.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to pretty much. There's so many threats.
Don't you just have to wait until both polymorphs are gone to be super safe?
What about keeping
You
Ysera?
could do that. Again, Fatigue Mage doesn't draw many cards, so the odds of them having 2 ofs is like lower than normal. It's kind of like playing on double Moltons against Handlock. Sometimes you like want to be extra safe, but sometimes you just kind of have to make them have it. It really depends on how the game's going, like how good Gaara feels about his chances. If you're not feeling good, you usually are more prone to take risks to try and win.
Yeah, Gaara is still deciding what to keep.
Yeah.
Would you keep Ysera?
He actually kept the
did.
Ysera. Yeah, I agree
This
with
takes
this.
balls, man.
I don't know about not keeping Black Knight. There's plenty of targets for Black Knight.
Yeah, that's actually kind of surprising. Like, if we look at how this game's going to pan out, there's going to be a duplicate on turn 3 and a Belcher on turn 5.
And what is Fire Warwick's gonna do really?
Yeah, did he?
6
He
damage.
kept a War Axe, I guess. That's. So one thing I was thinking of is one of the reasons Gaara might have not chosen Warrior in the first place is he might just have no idea what he's doing in this matchup. I mean, you know, I'll play devil's advocate here. Like, I've been in that situation before where it's like, your opponent brings something weird, and you just haven't played the matchup much.
Yeah, you just don't know what to do. Sometimes that happens.
Fatigue Mage is one of the harder decks to kind of.
One thing though, like,
You can't really play through the game in your head. I mean, like, if you think about Druid, you'd be like, okay, I want to stay above 14.
He decided to keep the axe though, probably knowingly that he wouldn't be attacking with it turn 2.
Yeah.
And that he would want to hero power for the remainder of the match.
Yep. He attacks with the Despite here, so it chomps through this
The Belcher,
Belcher.
yeah, but he refrained from using hero power
But
last turn.
Even then, I mean, with Duplicate,
He can shield slam as well.
you
if he
can't
wants
really be
to,
that happy about it.
For sure.
Duplicate is so strong in general against
Yeah,
Warrior.
Duplicate's actually like one of the key cards for Fatigue Mage to get early on. If you don't get it early on, like you said, it kind of acts like fake card draw. So it's almost their card draw engine, and if you don't draw it, you can run out of cards really fast. Because as we see, it's not hard for Gaara to deal with like a Sledge Belcher, but it's hard to deal with 4 of them. I definitely agree keeping Black Knight would have probably been good here.
Over the axe, yeah. I'd agree with that.
We'll see how much work this Fiery War
Look at
Axe
his hand
does.
from Gaara though. He also runs cards like Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, this is definitely a really greedy warrior list.
Double Dragon and Kel'Thuzad. This is really greedy.
Yeah, extremely greedy.
But it might get the job done. This is
yeah,
a lot
it's
of good
definitely
threats.
a meta call. And like I said, I brought all greedy decks as well, so it's the meta call I made as well. I'm not sure if it worked better for like Gaara's group stage. He was actually in the same group I was, but he didn't face me. He faced Xeno first and 3-0'd him with No, he doesn't have Paladin. I don't know what he 3-0'd him with. Might have been Mech Mage. And then he beat Kaldi, I think 3-1. So it definitely worked for him in groups. And we'll see if it's good enough here. I'm not sure if you want Greedy Warrior or Defensive Warrior against Paladin. I think Greedy Warrior might work out. And the Sledge Belcher is just not stopping here.
Yeah. Really tough to deal
Yeah,
with all
Brawl
that.
coming out.
Already brawling.
Ooh.
Oh man, that's rough. Gaara was really banking on one of the slimes surviving there, so he could kill both slimes with Fire War Axe. Not
So this Fiery War Axe,
quite-
not that great, as we can see.
not quite what was planned.
That was an error. What now?
What now, Chucky?
That's a good question, Gaara. I mean, there is no polymorph in Savjz's hand. Oh, there is a polymorph. Whoops. So he's going to have to bait that out before Ysera. But like I said, you're more likely to take risks the more behind you are. I'd say Gaara's pretty behind. So you might see like a really YOLO play of like coin Ysera. And that would get answered by a polymorph and lead to a sad Gaara.
You could just play Kel'Thuzad next turn.
You could.
Even though you don't get
Kel'Thuzad will
big body.
definitely get the polymorph
Yeah.
out. That's
I like
that's one
Kel'Thuzad,
of
actually.
the worrisome targets. Ooh, Echo, pretty good here.
Well, it might not actually bait the polymorph considering it's going to be alone on the board and there's going to be at least 2 taunts to challenge
Yeah.
it.
We'll see how greedy Savjz is with his Echo. Looks like he's going to plan for a bigger one. He could just Echo a Death Lord and a Sledge Belcher right now.
Yeah,
or he
Brawl's
could
out of the way as
play
well,
Death
so.
Lord Sledge Belcher and try to Echo next turn for even more.
Yep.
His hand is pretty full though.
Yeah, Savjz is not afraid of all of his board dying. The Brawl is gone already, so he could just set up an even bigger board with the Echo.
Yep. He's definitely thinking about both options, thinking about how greedy he needs to be. Actually debating a ping here.
Oh, he goes for it.
Yeah, he pinged.
Maybe he's a little scared of the Death Lord pulling a big threat. Wants to play around that for now. Maybe he wants to guarantee the
Well, he has
Echo on the
Blizzard
Death
and
Lord.
Nova.
Because next turn he can go Death Lord Echo Ping or Death Lord Echo Frostbolt.
He's going for the Ysera.
Oh, jeez.
Oh boy, that's gonna
Oh,
get
no.
countered.
I dream.
Oh, damn.
Like I said, more willing to take risks, and he's going to take the risk. He gets Dream, which is, I would say, not a good one.
Yeah, pretty much any card wouldn't have helped. It's the amount
Yeah.
of cards that would have been
Yep.
relevant.
He definitely needed this not to get polymorphed, and Gaara cannot be feeling good right now. When you're down 0-2 and you're not looking good in your match, sometimes you just coin Ysera. This is definitely one of the panouts where Fatigue Mage is extremely favored. I mean, sometimes the Warrior you'll see get to like 60 health with including their armor, but the Mage has pretty much had initiative this whole game. They've just been beating his face in while he takes even more damage with axes.
It just seems if you have Death Lord and stuff like that, then it's really easy for the mage to chip away the armor.
Yep. So here we're gonna see like the greediest Echo of all time.
Oh baby.
Savjz finally made it. He got the Echo off. Oh, whoa.
Another
Wow.
Death Lord.
He's not gonna Echo then, because that would overdraw him. Oh, he's going for
How
it.
many does he
Well,
get?
it doesn't matter. It
He
doesn't-
only gets 4, so he won't
Yeah,
get
but
one
which
of the
ones?
Death Lords. Okay, he's trading the slime first. That way.
Okay, that's good.
that way he doesn't overdraw.
It goes in order, so he would have
He's gonna
missed
discard
out
it
on a
draw at
Death
least.
Oh,
Lord.
he's gonna overdraw one. Okay.
He
Yeah.
will overdraw one, but
I wonder though, like-
that's not a big deal at all.
If he echoes, he only has room for 4 cards, but echoes for 5. Which one gets left out?
The last one played.
Okay, that's good to know.
There's still a lot
Yeah.
of big threats on the side of Gaara, at least in his hand. But
I mean,
15
jeez.
health. Look at this. Once again, the Fatigue Mage is not winning by
Fatigue
fatigue.
Mage just beating him up, man.
Oh man, Death Lord's
Beat
going
down
ham.
Mage,
Turns
man.
out taunts are just good. This is like an arena mage deck. You just play some cards, and then they play cards, and you're like, Flame Strike, get out.
If taunts so good, maybe you should main some Buddy Bay bodyguards, huh?
Yeah, there's the Black Knight was the top deck this turn, and I feel like at this point, Gaara's kind of like, maybe I should have kept this card. Pretty good. Pretty good against this deck full of taunts.
Yeah. Definitely some questionable decisions by Gaara, but you can't fault him for that.
He could steal the Oracle. He could
Steal the Oracle. There
He
we
could
go.
Black Knight a Death Lord and steal the Oracle, I think.
He could Black Knight the
Black
Death
Knight the
Lord and
Death
just pull
Lord.
Exodia from his deck. That'd be a win.
Black Knight a Death Lord, trade the Sylvanas into the Belcher, and then you would dream either the use or the Death Lord and shield slam your own Sylvanas.
Ooh, gets a boom.
No battle cry though.
Yeah, no Battlecry and won't
Still
lose,
better
so
than like an Armor Smith, I would say.
Why did he not
Misses out
get
on
the
one armor.
Yeah, exactly.
Savjz burns Alex. All of these things.
Alex doesn't matter
Pretty
really.
unconsequential.
Yeah.
I know Reynad might not have kind things to say about Gaara missing that armor. He's a pretty big
Not only
stickler
that, he
on
also
that.
missed the attack with the Fire War Axe on the slime.
Oh.
Right.
Gaara's in for some
Right.
lashings when he gets back to the Tempo Storm.
Is it that Tempo Storm now?
I don't know, man. TempoStorm.com, definitely check that out. Definitely not
Yeah.
plugging that.
Don't promote it on my channel, please.
I knew you'd like that, Eco. So,
Whoa.
Pings off his own guy to get
The Blizzard off. I like
so
that,
that
actually.
the Sylvanas doesn't steal anything. Pretty interesting.
What is the deck count? 12 cards for Gaara and 14
Yeah.
for the Fatigue. Right?
Deathlord, if those Deathlords resolve, then Gaara will be 5 cards ahead, which is pretty much enough to kill them.
Yeah.
So already the Warrior's on a clock, as is to be expected.
And this is what pretty much anyone says. It doesn't matter how much armor you have. If you're like 4 cards ahead,
Yep.
the armor doesn't matter
Nullifies
at
the
all.
armor, yeah.
5 cards ahead, you're basically just taking like so much more damage than your opponent. Once you hit about 7 in the fatigue, you've pretty much lost.
Yeah, take like 21 before the mage takes 1 or something, right?
Yeah, I've watched this matchup a few times, and generally from the fatigue mage point of view, they just do not care how much armor the warrior gets. Because at the end of the game, they're gonna have taunts up and
Shield slamming.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I thought maybe this was kind of like a
concede,
concede
yeah.
play, but this is
concede
actually
play.
a really strong play. Unfortunately,
Sure, there are freezes, but
huh,
that armor smith, though.
that play really
You can
brought it
argue
back
that
in the game.
they don't care about armor, but like giving the 7 armor right here is not very optimal.
Yeah, the armor smith coming back is actually huge. We've talked about how armor doesn't matter, but every point counts.
There's no Doomsayers to combo along with Frost Nova, so
Yeah.
you're probably forced to Blizzard on top.
Yeah,
And
I'm pretty sure you have to go for the Blizzard first. And
very interestingly, if this game goes extremely long, Gaara could do crazy stuff like Alex himself, dream the Alex, and Alex himself again, if he's really into going long.
Is he
I'm
gonna
pretty sure-
double Frostfolds? on
There goes
Kel'Thuzad?
Kel'Thuzad.
Oh no, he's not gonna go. He's 0 powered, and that means that Gaara can actually dream the Kel'Thuzad to heal it back up.
Oh my god.
Wow, very greedy play here from Savjz. And that might actually be really relevant.
Oh man,
Wow.
because
What a
Savjz was
plot
banking on the
twist.
Kel'Thuzad
So-
dying to the Flame Strike
Yeah.
next turn,
Yep.
and now it doesn't.
Savjz.
It doesn't if he goes for that, of course.
Hmm.
He's really telegraphing
I think
a
you
Flame
can put
Strike.
your opponent on having Dream or having Nightmare. And unfortunately for Savjz, it's Dream. I wonder if he just forgot about it by this point. Because, I mean, these players are very focused on their own game plan.
No Flame
They
Strike.
aren't taking into consideration, like, what Dream card did he get 10 turns ago?
But
Yeah.
However, there's still a play. Like you can Frost Nova, Frost Volts, the Kel'Thuzad ping it,
Yep.
and it's gonna be Flame Strikeable next turn.
Lots of armor coming in, but again, it might not matter in the end. Ooh. Okay, okay. He can still clear it next turn
Yeah, yeah.
with the Flame Strike. Kel'Thuzad will eventually fall.
Eventually.
Double Armor Smith.
That's gonna be a lot of armor.
It will be a lot of armor. Jeez, imagine if imagine if Gaara had a lead in this game. Because I think it's like, you know, I think normally the Fatigue Mage doesn't get such an amazing start of like double Belcher with the duplicate. And into Deathlord into Echo Medivh. Like if he drew his deck in the other order, I think Gaara would just like be dominating this game.
Or if he just chose to play Kel'Thuzad over Ysera, maybe.
Well, I think this Kel'Thuzad play has actually been pretty great, but I don't know if it'll be enough.
Yeah, he valued Kel'Thuzad above Ysera by far.
Yeah, I think if he would have played Kel'Thuzad just on an empty board and gotten it polymorph, the Ysera could have probably carried the game. A 4-12 without polymorph is basically impossible to deal with. Gaara really in the tank here on what to do. Okay. Gonna get the Alex out of his hand.
Decides not to go for that.
Savjz has used
Armor
2
Smith.
Blizzard and 2 Novas, right?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, he definitely has.
He has cones, but it's a 7 minion board. So he's not
And
very happy about
Execute
that.
coming out on the Belcher.
Rather than Shield Slam. That's interesting as well.
Pretty interesting here. It blocks it off from killing off the Sludge Belcher.
Oh,
but there's Big Game Hunter.
Yeah, but he has to ping this turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
He
you're
And he
right.
can't get through the use.
You're right.
So this is going to be 7 more armor as we wait for that to resolve.
Use
Do you guys
animation.
remember when they actually buffed Armor Smith like that? Like, it didn't used to do that. When it died, it would give no armor.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, I was actually really upset because I was playing like Explosive Trap Hunter. And
Typical.
that changed, like, actually, before that, I think Aggro Hunter was, like, favored in that matchup. And then that changed and Sludge Belcher, and oh boy. Warrior
I
got
bet
a
you
little
cried
bit
a lot
more
when you saw
powerful.
Shield Maiden announced.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Sludge Belcher came a lot later than that.
Sludge Belcher did come a lot later than that. So, the silver lining for Gaara is his 8-4 gets to avoid a Big Game Hunter for a turn, which is pretty relevant. I mean, we might just see like a Shield Slam on the 1-2 here.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
And at this point, I mean, Savjz is on the back foot. He doesn't have any way to deal with the board.
Yeah, sure, there's the Big Game Hunter against Alexstrasza, followed by a couple of Deathlords, I guess, but
But
that
I think with
there's-
like Gramash, Shield Maiden,
man.
Harrison, like Gaara can shoot through these things and pop the block eventually.
How much AoE did Savjz already end up spending?
Everything
Check.
except the Flame Strike and a Sheep.
Yeah, there's one Flame
He
Strike
used
left.
one
Right?
Sheep and one Flame Strike and 2 Blizzards. And he's just gonna throw down Gramash, maximize the damage.
'Kay.
Polymorph's pretty good here.
Yeah. So BGH into Polymorph into Deathlord.
EGH Poly Deathlord. Seems reasonable. Deathlord gonna get shield slammed, and Gaara will need.
We see
10
10 to
3
8
extra damage
cards.
to pop the block here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything he can pull from his deck that gives him 3 damage.
But you could top like a Death
A
Bite.
weapon. Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
There it is.
wow.
That's
This,
big.
this might be game.
He's gonna put him to 1 as well.
Yep,
Oh,
he gets to
wow.
put him to 1 and everything.
Well, there's some healing.
What a
Okay.
Shield
turnaround,
Maiden is a
guys.
great get from the Deathlord.
Yeah, I think I would have preferred to. Well, no, I think he's got plenty of life. Right now, it's just a race. So, yeah, that is a pretty good get. And there it is. And through some tricky Kel'Thuzad play, Gaara actually bringing the game back,
Yep.
and he's going to win.
Well, it's not over yet.
Oh, I'd say this game's pretty over. We'll see. If Savjz can pull off something to win this, I'd be
Nope.
amazed.
There's Healbot and Deathlord, who basically heal 16.
That's not going to be enough. All right, so how do we get through this if we're Gaara? We definitely don't play Acolyte. Maybe you do. I'm not
If
sure what
Gaara,
cards
if
are
Gaara
left.
kept track of whatever
Yeah.
he still has both executes and both shield slams been used?
He
4
used
cards
1
left.
execute, I believe, and both shield slams.
Yeah, so if he
He has
if
one
could-
execute left?
If he, he
I
could
believe
gamble,
he has an execute
he could
left.
gamble on drawing execute, I guess.
Yeah, but that wouldn't even help him that much because he's burning 5 damage into the Deathlord anyway. I guess
We could like go
he'd
for
be 1 off
Acolyte
lethal.
into Acolyte into Taskmaster.
Acolyte, Taskmaster, draw, execute, Armor
That
Smith
would be
trades
lethal,
into
yep.
Deathlord, and that's exactly lethal, yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe there's an execute left.
So 25%?
So I think, I mean, he has 51 health, right?
He doesn't have to go for it right now.
Right,
Yeah.
he doesn't, but 51 health. You're going up to 53 if all else fails. You've got a Shield Maiden. Like, kind of along the lines of drawing with Ancient Lore, maybe you just draw now. Like, you're just all in, you got to race. But I think Gaara's a little scared. I think he's going to try and take it slow. Oh, here we go. Yep. So if he draws execute off this first
No,
one,
it's not lethal like this, is it?
it's,
Wouldn't
not,
be-
it's
be-
not lethal.
Would be 8 in that case.
Draws the other Acolyte, not a very good pickup. Let's see
What happened
how
there?
the rope, yeah.
Oh,
How
he-
did the rope go?
Does he
That
get
attack
anything?
off. Did he get, this attack's really important.
He's still got a Belcher.
Okay,
Jesus.
now it all comes down to whatever Savjz
Okay,
draws
he
next.
got everything off, so that's perfect.
And it's over.
That's.
And
Yeah.
again.
I mean, with the execute in his deck, if we were correct.
Yeah, there's nothing left to do.
No execute. I guess he used both.
This piece Spellbreaker there. That's interesting. as well.
Spellbreaker basically acting as an execute now, though, so nothing Savjz has can stop this.
One thing to mention, we saw the whole Warrior deck, and there was no Ragnaros, for example. No Baron Geddon.
No Ragnaros. Pretty light on big game hunter targets. He had Alexstrasza and Dr. Room.
Yeah.
And
Gramash, I don't
Gramash,
really count
obviously,
as a big
yeah.
game hunter target, but in this matchup it is.
And this is it.
Savjz calling well played, and he's going to go down. I think kind of surprised Savjz, I would guess.
Pretty much off the back of that dreamed Kel'Thuzad, I would say.
Right, the greedy play there. I mean, if he went for the safe play and just double Frostbolted Kel'Thuzad, I'm not sure if he would have won. I feel like, you know, being an all-knowing caster and seeing the Paladin match.
Yeah, he does opt for that.
Didn't he already get enough information, though?
He did get,
Through the
like,
fatigue
he
glitch?
basically got all the information
Yeah.
he needed, but
Yeah, it doesn't.
when
it
you're
doesn't
up
do it-
2-1, it doesn't matter
It
what
doesn't
order
matter,
you go
that's
in.
right.
So
It's just to hide the warrior deck from your opposition that you might be facing in the next
Right.
round if you're confident in winning.
there is that small advantage to leading Paladin. Because I think everybody knows Savjz is Paladin, but we don't know his warrior.
Just a quick update. We have some more information on how the bracket is progressing. It seems that Blackout beat Faramir 3-2, so Blackout is in the semifinals.
Big win.
He's going to be facing Number Guy, which beat Wumpy
That's a rematch,
3-2.
actually.
So the other Finnish player, Wumpy, dropped out of the tournament. Vortex is still on a hot streak,
Jeez.
so he's 9-0
I
right
wonder
now.
if that was with Mech Mage.
Yeah, so he's 3-0 versus Xeno, so Vortex is also in the semifinals, and he's going to be playing the winner of this match.
I forgot that this match took so long already because it
Yeah.
was just 3 Fatigue Mage matches, but it makes
Just.
sense everyone else is done. Yeah, Blackout versus Number Guy is actually a rematch of round 1, where Number Guy won 3-1 with a 3-0 from Druid. So I don't know if Blackout's going to ban Druid. Maybe he will, maybe he won't.
Let's get back to this game, though. I'm pretty sure that I don't
Yeah,
know.
was
I'm
trying
pretty
to-
sure that Savjz cannot really win this because there's no way this. Usually in the warrior mirror matchup, the greedier warrior wins, right?
Yeah.
And then
there's a couple
There's like no way that Savjz's warrior is greedier than Gaara's warrior.
Yeah,
or
Gaara's
maybe
Warrior,
they're
did
the
we-
same. We don't know.
Did
Right?
we see a big game hunter in Gaara's Warrior? No.
Are you sure?
I think so.
I think so too. Let's
There wasn't.
check. Give me a second.
I'm pretty sure there wasn't.
We
If
got
so,
all
like
that.
that's where he's making cuts for cards like Ysera, which is a huge meta call. That's
He
like
does
a
not
huge
have a
leap to
BGH.
take.
Confirms. So no
You're
BGH
basically
from
saying
Gaara.
like I don't expect handlock. You know, I don't expect many big game hunter targets because it's like everybody's playing around big game hunter so much now that maybe you just don't play it.
Let's just take a look back at the game. We saw that Gaara opted to drop at that spot and go face, in case Savjz coined out the Belcher, which didn't happen. So he dropped the Acolyte, but Gaara didn't feel forced to use the second charge,
Yep.
and he dropped the Belcher on top of that.
And
But he's getting
now,
punished for it.
Now Savjz is going to draw 3
Yeah.
since he decided
That's
to hold
huge.
backs.
It's not that he has the tempo, but he's going to have a huge card lead.
Harrison's good here. Not right now, but obviously good to have for later.
See, Savjz has Baron Geddon, whereas Gaara doesn't, for example.
Yeah, Baron Geddon's actually like, since we were talking about no big game hunter, it's surprisingly annoying to kill. It's like you five health isn't much.
Well, it
Well,
dies
the
to
shield
it's
slam usually
something.
to
Yeah, but you want the shield slams for bigger targets as
yeah,
well.
that's why you use the second death spot charge on a Geddon, ideally.
That would be ideal, yeah.
Or like Taskmaster and an Axe or something.
Yep.
I want to go back to the fact that he drew that he's going to draw 3 cards with Acolyte, and it's really a double-edged sword, that thing, because obviously the card draw immediately is very good in the short term,
Yeah.
because you get more options and better options in general. And but if the warrior mirror goes long, as it
Well,
usually does,
Well,
It's
like
gonna
we
go-
were
then
talking
it comes
about
back to
bite you.
with the greed, I think Savjz, like, if I were in his position, I like being the aggressor your opponent's playing Ysera. Like, you don't want to play a long game against somebody playing Ysera, so
Yeah, that's
you just
right.
identify your win condition and you go for it, and I think he's doing that.
So Savjz is going for the immediate card advantage and for the quick kill, basically.
Savjz is going in for the kill, and Gaara is trying to
Yeah, I
stay
think he
alive.
needs to maintain the card advantage as much as possible. Because otherwise he's going to fall short.
Gaara's going to trim out his armor rather than axing the task. It develops a 2-2. Just a small decision
Well,
that gets more damage in.
He
but
could
also
have shield
uses
maidens
resources.
if he traded. But I guess he didn't want to get this shield maiden shield slam. That doesn't really make sense because you actually want
Yeah.
that in a mirror match.
Yeah, usually getting Shield Maiden's like another one of those really annoying cards. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's big enough of a threat that it's like, I need to do something about this, but I don't want to use premium removal.
Yeah, that's kind of every 5-5 in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, one thought I've had.
5/5s are just like,
The Lothep, the Sylvanas.
ugh.
One thought I've had when Shield Maiden came out, it just completely obliterated the Priest matchup.
Yeah.
Like Warrior versus Priest
you
used to
can't
be.
death it. Like,
Yeah, you don't want to death it at all.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
so
And
Gaara's
it's
going
like-
to use Shield Slam.
And you're
If we
even
look at
less
his
scared of
hand-
mind control in that case.
Gaara has an Execute for removal, and that's it left.
Yeah, he did use the shield slam, so I guess that's good for Savjz.
And honestly, like, I kind of favor Savjz right now, knowing that there's like no big game hunter in Gaara's deck,
He doesn't know.
which
There's 4 cards he didn't see, one
Savjz-
of which is a misread.
I think Savjz
Think about
doesn't
it.
know it. I think Savjz, especially since
You might assume it,
it's
but
very I doubt he wrote down every card
yeah.
when you're playing those long, exhausting matches. So he probably isn't completely aware of every card. And he's most likely going to read, if he is tracking every card, he'll read the
Both
Spellbreaker
players
as
shield
BG.
slam shield maiden, so I guess they're both even.
They're both even. But, oh, Dr. Boom's huge here.
There's a
actually.
Harrison there, though. You don't
He's
want a
gonna
Dr.
Harrison
Boom.
first, okay.
Dr. Boom would fall short for a
Yeah,
single
Dr.
execute.
Boom would just get destroyed by execute.
Yeah.
But it's a very good threat for Gaara to draw here. Because what's about to happen is...
He can drop the axe here, does he?
Savjz is just about
Yeah,
to
he's going
chain a
first.
bunch of threats.
So he's slamming down that armor again, even though one shield slam is gone.
Yeah, Shield Slam still kills this, which is the interesting part.
Yeah, but
I think-
do
I
you
think
want
you-
to do it? Would you ever? Not really.
Yeah, it's...
You always want to have a second weapon for you when you get Harrison, for sure. And it has to be a specific scenario, because if they Harrison your axe and you have another axe, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah. A lot of different plays here. Execute, since you have 2, feels pretty good.
Yeah.
But then it's like, how do you follow that up? Maybe just Sludge Belcher?
You could also just despite the Harrison away. I mean, what are you really
Yeah.
worried about? Also, this way you enable the potential whirlwind effect
If
for the
you-
Grommash.
If you Deathbite it, though, you're basically giving initiative to Gaara, and like I was talking about, Savjz wants to be the one with initiative. And so he's going to go for like a really strange play, which is this develops a 10-4 rather than developing a Deathbite. It's just going to get
Thing is-
executed, but
He's actually recognizing that he's not going to be able to finish the game with the
Yep.
Grommash, so.
he's going in. Like,
Straight up removal and forces removal as
I
well,
wonder
so
if
it's a
Savjz
2-for-1.
plays Alexstrasza then, if he's willing to just toss this out so quickly,
Actually, this is 2-for-2 since
And here's
Harrison
the
got a
Dr.
+1 as
Boom.
well.
which Savjz has an answer to. He's got
Yep.
Whirlwind Execute,
What about the Brawl?
and he even has Harrison.
How do you apply Brawl in this matchup? And isn't it... I always
Um,
thought that Dr. Boom opts for a great Brawl.
Well,
Do you think so?
if you brawl,
What if
general,
Boom
yeah.
survives? You can answer it.
yeah, if you brawl 33% of the time, Boom survives. If a Boom bot survives,
And that's the gamble.
it's still annoying.
Slays Harrison
Yeah, I
here.
guess.
Would you Harrison here? Or would you wait for that spot?
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
Savjz with
High
the YOLO
risk,
play.
high reward.
Whoa.
This is huge, man.
So we were talking about Savjz really playing to his his win condition here,
Oh.
which is having initiative. He is doing that to an extreme.
That was so
now.
lucky. If you hit the face, you could just armor up and shield slam, as we can see that.
It's.
Woo!
I would still say Gaara is looking
Okay, so you
good
go
now.
Alex. And he has near
Gaara
lethal
drew
next to it.
shield slam and execute in his last 3 draws, and with the way Savjz's hand is, like, that was huge. He's actually going to play around Harrison as well here, which is.
I
pretty
just get the
important.
feeling that Savjz threw away his threats like, I don't know, like they're nothing.
Savjz really, like, he stuck to his game plan, but the game plan did not pan out the way he wanted it to. Probably just go face with this to power it up for the whirlwind effect.
Yeah, because you want to get those executes off.
Nope, he's
What?
gonna hold it.
Really? I guess he can proc the execute with Belcher himself, but
So
there's
silver
another
lining
threat
for
coming out that's
Savjz
really bad.
here. Gaara's low on cards. Acolyte's pretty good to combat that, but
It's like Grommash, Grommash Whirlwind executes.
Sledge
potentially.
Belcher is actually like soaking 16 damage
Yeah,
here.
he's 2 damage off lethal, but
Yeah, 2 damage of lethal.
you could
So good.
Acolyte Whirlwind execute, but you don't really want to Whirlwind for 1 draw and execute that Belcher.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're like literally giving it all in to win
Yeah,
within
and
a
also
turn.
with something like execute and then Alex yourself back up, you feel fine. That uses all of your opponent's hand, and then you go back to 15.
He's going for it.
He's going for it. Wow.
Oh man. Here we go. Whirlwind.
Really
execute.
weird game. Like, both of these players just going balls to the wall.
I actually agree with this
Yeah,
play.
you're going ham, man.
I think it's really good putting the warrior 2.
He answers both though.
So I would
and there's
expect
no
to see
weapon.
execute.
Double light.
And
you could
actually, I think you can afford to just double execute.
Shield Maiden. Okay, so I think
Yeah, now
Savjz
that
wins
you,
the game
now
now.
that you drew
With the Shield
execute,
Maiden, it's
now that you drew the Shield Maiden, I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the game
I-
just
I-
completely shifted.
Savjz is way ahead now.
Yep.
Wow.
It looks like it's over pretty much after that all-in play
Wow.
from Gaara.
2 games just turning drastically.
Just imagine there would be
Very true.
just right now, and he didn't have the Shield Maiden. never
Oh
mind.
no. Awful draw.
Yeah, does absolutely nothing. But maybe Savjz commits more to
He's
the
gonna
board.
hold the Acolyte to try and get the lucky brawl.
Kills himself.
And I
Doesn't
think
go
that
face.
Alex seals it. There's no big game hunter.
He's still keeping the first charge of that spot.
Ysera,
Also
though.
interesting.
Okay. Yeah, but Ysera just
Oh.
dies.
Yeah, yeah. But you're forced to trade. That's
Well,
annoying.
He can
Unless-
just trade into it.
I'm pretty sure he just YOLO brawls here with the Acolyte on the board.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's his
mean,
only out.
Do you agree?
Ysera, your best case is your opponent runs their minions into it, armors up and passes, and you don't feel good about that. Go Kit Kats, says Gaara. This
It's not
isn't
a
an
Smith,
armor
though.
smith.
Yeah,
but
it's
he's-
no armor smith, my friend.
What a fallacy.
I think Kit
Nah.
Kats would say the problem here was he didn't believe enough. He hesitated on that play for a long time.
Yeah, he did, indeed.
Wow.
More draws for Savjz.
I think this game was really interesting.
Yeah, a lot of weird plays. for
Both
sure.
players definitely had like room to win this
He's
game.
going
I
face
think.
now with a weapon. And yeah, I guess he's realizing he just wants to finish the game.
Yep.
You
And,
can still trade with the Ysera no matter
the
what.
greedy warrior is gonna fall here. YOLO play falling to double execute.
I guess it did all calm down after all to the additional cards drawn by Savjz.
Yep. I really liked his aggressive line, and then Gaara actually took an aggressive line in response, which was definitely weird. I wonder if he's just gonna ignore this. Looks like it.
Whoa, easy? Yeah, I guess.
Savjz can smell victory. He's going in.
13, 16, 18, 24. So he has 26 damage next turn. So
Yep. So that's gonna be it.
even if his Ysera clears out those 3, he has 23.
I guess
numbers
he
up
can
to
live if
20.
he nightmares and trades with the 8/8 and plays a Belcher, prolonging the inevitable.
Oh man. Well, it all came down to, sure, Savjz had to play the aggressor because of Gaara's deck being more greedy and just winning in the late game. But yeah, this way he had, but because he drew so many cards with Acolyte, he had much more options. And then Gaara had to kind of go for the same aggressive route with his big threats. but it wasn't because he wanted to be the aggressor. It just was because he had to get back on the board properly.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing was, you know, the damage from that Grom, all 10 of it, just ended up being 0 from the Alex.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Gaara's plays in this match have been like, hopefully they don't have this exact card or the 2 copies of this exact card, and Savjz just always had it.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Savjz did draw a lot of cards, though.
Right.
This copy pasta.
We got some Savjz boys spam in the chat.
No, but look at this. Guys, I'm having a midlife crisis. I was Skyping my wife because she left for work in Korea. Unfortunately, she saw the woman I was cheating with in the picture frame behind me. And I'm in the middle of huge divorce. She's taking the house, the cars, and even our dog, Hosty. What a sad story, guys.
Rip Hosty.
Rip Posty.
Armor Smith is a huge straw. Oh, wait. I guess it isn't.
And Gaara forfeit the match. And yeah, Savjz advanced to the semifinals. 3-1 over Gaara. Still going strong on the back of his strong tournament performances that he had in the past weeks. Just, man, who can stop this guy?